I'm Dawn PT. I'm a partner here at Francis Clark in our Agriculture and Land Estates team. This is Martin Rossiter and
Hello.
Mike Butler, also partners
Hi.
within the team as well.
Welcome to our Salisbury office. It's a beautiful day. It's about 0.1 degrees, so apologies if we look a bit cold, but you can see our lovely view with some deer grazing the field behind us.
Immediate thing at the moment is cash flow. A lot of the calls we're fielding at the moment are businesses that are short cash, and I suppose that's off the back of three things. One is the lower commodity prices, and so incomes are down. They've gone through a period of paying higher costs, and of course being towards the end of January tax bills. So cash flow is the issue.
I think it's the age-old story of the businesses that don't need it can borrow, and the businesses that probably need the money find it hard to borrow. And I think obviously part of that is the high interest rates as well, isn't it?
I think another challenge we're going to see continuing this year is labour shortages, and with that in hand comes increased costs for your staff, especially with minimum wage increases from April.
I think that also then goes through to succession, because when we say labour, of course, that could be the next generation. There's an increased pressure on them to look at alternatives outside of the farming.
And I think plugging the gap of lost income from subsidies, I think that's been on everyone's radar for quite a long time and been factored into lots of business plans and that sort of thing to make sure diversification happens. And again, we are going to see another drop this year, continuing until 2027.
Where we were talking about some of the challenges, some of the big opportunities are to investigate natural capital, green energy, and see if there's opportunities to be had on your farm where you can tap into some of these schemes to replace BPS money.
I think being a custodian of any land is going to become more and more valuable going forwards. The opportunities should be there. Whether we'll see them in 2024 or not, we don't know.
It's still early days, isn't it, for particularly like carbon and these sort of schemes, and whether they actually ever come quite to fruition remains to be seen.
So apparently UK farming contributes to 1% of overall GDP, and the other 99% of businesses that contribute to the rest of the GDP, they are going to have to rely very heavily on the 1% in order to meet their environmental credentials. So that can only be a good opportunity for landowners and farmers going forward. I really hope we don't lose sight of the fact that actually producing good quality food should be high up on that agenda as well. And the best land use for a piece of land is the really important thing that needs to be considered. I think at the moment tax rates are probably the lowest we're going to see. So I think tax rates can only go up if there's a change in governments.
We always say it because I think accountants like to, but potential reforms to the inheritance tax could be on the agenda.
I think farming is a very safe sector. A lot of lends have land secured against it. I appreciate there's some tenant farmers that don't have that same amount of security. But I think there is a conversation to have with banks about the margins you're paying on your debt and arrangement fees for that. And that's starting to actually happen. We are starting to see margins come down, and in certain cases, banks become more competitive with lending.
Much as we talked about energy prices, fertiliser and input costs have come down. So although grain prices have fallen, at least we saw this year, as much as sales are up, there was a huge increase in costs. So that fall in fertiliser prices is a real bonus, and hopefully coupled with increasing grain prices as well.
As always, there are knowns and unknowns in the farming world. I think we all know about that being a commodity-based industry. Probably more unknowns. All you can do really is plan for your knowns and factor those in. People are getting better at doing sort of 2-year, 5-year cash flow forecasts to put in their budgets, and I think that will continue to be just as important as it is now.
Businesses just need to reflect that there has been some difficult times in the last few months.
There was a period 12 months ago when things were very buoyant, and just try and work out where the future is likely to take them. So looking positively, but with an element of planning is important.
Perhaps one final thing as well is, do consider opportunities, particularly things like natural capital, SFI. It is a bit of a minefield and it is complex, but certainly look at the opportunities that might be available on your farm, on your estate going forward.